ready for the next task, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
I'm fighting insomnia, so like I just didn't sleep well. So I'm fine otherwise. It's not like it was stressful, it's just I'm tired.
Is that something that you've dealt with your whole life?
Yeah, I used to work a lot of different weird jobs, so I never really had a circadian rhythm, and I'm trying to give myself one now, which creates all sorts of strangeness because I still have to get up at weird times. So like I'm trying to like wind down between 12 and 1 and wake up between 9 and 10, make that my regular, so I can shift it by an hour either direction and it won't really bother me. But sometimes I have to get up at 5 a.m. for work. Sometimes I have to stay up until 2 a.m. for work. So it's just a
Yep, I know it's
constant struggle.
Well, I hope this helps with not only League, but with everything. I'm going to link you a little quiz. We're gonna do it, but we're going to specifically focus on how to optimize yourself and how to recover in between challenges so that we don't get consecutive lows that can bring us lower than low, or consecutive highs. More so what we're going to do is try to get to that optimal focus point and maintain it for a short amount of time, and then we're going to reset and then go back up and kind of really be in control of our rhythms.
Okay.
You're into Zen stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, this may be up your alley. What do you do? Do you meditate?
I'm getting back into it.
Okay. How do you meditate?
Usually it's right now it's soft music. Incense. I have a zabuton and 2 zafus, and I just sit and breathe.
Okay.
So my sensei teaches me that meditation is not about silence of the mind. It's about equal silence of everything. So if you have a thought, let it happen, let it go. If you have an itch, let it happen, let it go. It's about moving through all of the things as opposed to focusing on anything.
Perfect. Can you already see how we can use that with stress and things like this, negative detractors?
It's one of the things that I do to calm down between League sessions or after having a bad session.
Okay, great. So the test, did you open it up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first one is the APM test. Don't open it yet. I guess it won't. Or you can open it because the timer won't start until you start it. But why don't you go ahead and screen share? One of the things that we're going to be focusing on is when something stressful happens, we're just going to resolve it on its own merits, right? We're just going to reset in small bits so that we don't accidentally start slipping down that slope where we end up too stressed. Because once we get too stressed, then our reactions get affected, our mood gets affected, and our performance gets affected. Not only ours, but that of our teammates as well. If we project outwards. So what we're going to do every time that there's a negative stimulus, or after a success, we're going to treat them the same way. I'm going to let you choose one of your meditation techniques, just focusing on the breath. And we're just going to bring ourselves back to baseline. And then we're going to elevate slightly to say, all right, I'm ready for the next task, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Okay? This is a APM and awareness test where you are going to be clicking down the numbers from 50 down to 1. So you just click the 50, then the 49, then the 48. As you click the 50, the 44 will pop up. Make sense? All right. So when you're ready, take a deep breath, push yourself into that zone, and fire when ready. All right, take a deep breath. That was a very good first run. I saw you kind of planning ahead sometimes. Your mouse already knew where to go to get to the next one. Not really interested in the score so much as just the pattern of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You got your deep breath?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try again.
Same one?
Yep. Again, I want you to take a deep breath. Make sure that you're consciously pushing the throttle into the gear that you want, and fire when ready. How do you feel?
Energized / nervous.
Okay. All right, it's good. The first step is deciding that, like, hey, this is something I want to address, and the second step right behind that is being mindful of the feelings that you have, and that's what allows you to address them. How do you know that you feel energized, nervous? Almost sounds like anxious.
Well, I'm reading the score. I generally don't like scores and stats in that way, just because I don't want to know if I'm faster or slower than people, because then I feel like I compare myself. But at the same time, so the excitement is I'm not performing poorly. Like, that's the energized. That's the, like, oh, I can do something like this. This is a thing I can do. Okay. And the nervous is, what's the implications?
Okay. Release those. You know, they don't really matter. Yep. And every time that you take a deep breath and you resolve that idea, it just says, okay, doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be any comparison, because you're not trying to compare yourself right now. Right. You know, what would become the moment to want to compare yourself would be in the game or in the exam where you're competing against other people, right? And at that point, you would want to activate to the appropriate level and do the task at hand, and then again, resolve just like anything else. I want you to... Oh, sorry. One more thing. How do you know that you feel nervous? Like, where do you feel it in your body? What muscle group or where in your body?
In the center of my chest.
In the center of your chest. So this time when you take your deep breath, I want you to focus it there so that it helps that area resolve and release its stress. We'll go play again. All right, take your deep breath, focus on the center of your chest. And go ahead. Nice. Now, do you imagine that this gets easier or harder with more noise in the channels?
Depending on my mood, either.
Okay, so sometimes your mood likes it when there's energy?
Moreover, if my mood is good, I find it easier to just, like, tune everything out and focus on what it is that I want to be doing. Whereas if my mood is shaky or bad, I start listening for, are they talking to me? Is this my fault? Is, like, the worry and stuff.
Gotcha. In the games that we play as a, like, 3, 4, or 5, do you feel that way? Like, anxious to hear what is this feedback about me? Like, nervous about performance?
When I play with you, Andy, and Ben and JC, like when we were playing the other night, those are actually some of the most fun games I've ever played, because the chat was calm and it was like very little this is good, this is bad, just information, like, let's do this. Even if it wasn't like the right call, it was calm, it was decisive, it had a structure to it. Whereas I find, when we're just sort of like, I felt like that was almost serious mode, whereas when we're sort of just like dicking around and just chatting, like, I'm more focused on the chatting than I am on the playing. And if I'm trying to get better, then I get frustrated because I can't just chat and get better.
So it sounds like you need 2 different modes that you should prepare yourself for. when you go into a game, you have casual. I want to be casual. I want to be, I want to carry conversation. I'm hanging out with friends and playing a game, versus try hard mode, which is I want to focus on things. I want to dedicate myself to a task and try to do that task at the best of my ability.
I actually sort of done that. I'm separating that in the terms of if I play Shen or not.
Okay, that's good. It's
which is kind of funny because I'm playing the ninja who talks about balance and my
absolutely. That's very fitting. It would be. I mean, I understand that Champ Select can have variants to it, but it would help if you define that before the game starts and you lock Shen in, because it gives you this time to really settle into what you're doing, right? Hey, I want to try hard this game. I'll pick Shen if it's available, and if it's not, Urgot or the next thing, but I'm going to focus on a task and try to perform well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus going into the game, I don't care what I get. I'm going to try something this game. I'm going to try Camille. I'm going to try Viatop. I'm going to try Gnar. And I do not care about the outcome, and I'm being social or, whatever the other thing is. But you really want to define those as, a first gear game versus a second gear game.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is because it changes your expectations, and when your performance doesn't match up to your expectation, that's when you get that imbalance, and when the anxiety creeps in, right? Like, hey, I'm trying to be casual, but I'm also trying to hit cannons and make sure that I'm getting this thing. Those two things don't gel, right? They're actually complete opposites. And then the opposite is true too. Like, hey, I'm tuned in, but this time I'm just gonna tower dive and see what's up, see what happens. That doesn't gel either, right? I'm either trying things and being casual and having fun, or I'm doing the best I can. Let's do this one more time.
Okay.
We're gonna. Is that your music in the background, by the way?
Oh yeah, you're hearing music.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Does that help you get to that level?
Yeah, it's just a general. I listen to progressive trance and non-lyrical music in general as a way of sort of tuning out the background noise.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This time when we go, we're gonna do the same thing. I want you to take that breath and resolve anything that you have and try to get to that baseline. Then push it into gear when you're ready. This time I want you to try to get a new high score. The way we're going to do, rather than focusing on a score, I want you to think a number ahead. Let your mouse feel its way to the number you've already seen and already start looking for the next one. Great. Nice job. How did it feel? Any different? Did it feel more stressful to say hey, I'm trying to get a new high score?
No, actually the way I sort of translated it was that was already how I approached it from the get-go. So what I started doing was I was actually let me not think of two numbers ahead, but let me think of it almost in a shape, right? And so the number I was going for was the shape that was already gone, and the next number that I was looking for was a circle. So it was kind of I changed the way I was doing it to sort of follow what you suggested, and I just tuned out the idea that I was trying to go for a higher score and just trying to be more efficient.
Awesome. And so focusing on that next shape just gave it kind of clarity, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Just it made it very ease of motion. That's great.
It's actually very similar to how I think about playing Shen and other Peel type characters. Is once I realize that once I have the muscle memory down a little bit, it's okay, when is my E most impactful? And that's when I want to throw it. And I'm not there yet in the sense of I'm now throwing it at the most impactful moment. It's more of now is a time where I can get two of them, and one of them is the damage dealer, so I can get on top of the damage dealer and create problems for them. I'm going, right? It's I'm no longer going to wait. I'm now going. So it's interesting.
think I make sense of that. I wasn't entirely sure. Can you rephrase
it's
it? Or
thinking about the next circle ahead, one move. When do I press my E, right?
okay,
And
gotcha.
the problem with, not the problem with, but the next step is also reminding myself that I can press my Q and press my W before I press my E, right? But like I'm still just like hyper focused on a good time to press E to try and get that into my muscle memory, so I can then start looking at the other things as well.
Got it. Why don't you log into League, and we're gonna do the same sort of exercise, but in a League setting. We're gonna do a little 1v1. Basically, I'm gonna poke you every time that you're going for a last hit. It's just gonna be a last hit exercise. You're gonna get Second Wind and Doran Shield to mitigate the effect of it. But I'm just going to toss an attack at you. Add something to make it a little more stressful. And I want you to push into that gear where you're in training mode. You're like trying to do something well into that second gear. And if stress creeps in, take a moment to resolve it. And I'm not going to ask you to do anything. I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to let you do this silently. It may seem quiet or boring, but the idea is going to be that I want you to be comfortable in your own mind. You don't need to say like, "Oh shoot, I missed that cannon." Just
That's something I'm trying to stop saying, so that works.
it is what it is.
Too much mind.
Too many mind. You ever see The Last Samurai?
I'm quoting directly from that.
Yep. Too many mind. Mind on sword, mind on opponent, mind on people. Too many mind.
I loved the concept of the movie. Unfortunately, it was a little bit racist for my taste, but I loved the concept. Well, let's see if Pulsefire Shen's noise bothers me. Actually, let me try out the new one. I opened the Prime loot box yesterday, and I got the Infernal Shen skin.
Oh yeah, I was there when you got it. I love that skin. I have all the chromas for it.
I was just amused that that's the skin that came out of the box. I'm like, wow, way to give me a skin for my main. This never happens.
I know, that's sick. You may get a kick out of the champion that I picked. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Like I remember my very first skin was a Dr. Mundo skin, and I had never had any desire to main a champion or do anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
But having a skin was like, yeah, like I'm gonna be Mundo. Like this is what I'm gonna be, and it just like gave purpose. Oddly, you know.
Yeah, I actually tried Mundo out because I'm in search of a second/third tier top character. So when I do Clash, I don't get banned out easily.
Perfect.
I don't know if I like Mundo, but I don't know if I like the way he plays. Just like I played like 5 or 6 games of Camille over the last day. But...
Okay. So once we get to 1 minute, we're gonna go into tryhard mode.
Focused.
All right.
Sounds good.
And we'll just see how it goes. Just do the best you can. Focus on getting these last hits. And that's it. Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Good luck. And we're done. How are you?
I learned 2 things, actually. My reflex to press W when my sword is not on top of me is an interesting one. I noticed myself doing that occasionally. I did it once this time, and I was like, well, I want to look into that. And the other one was, I think I see laning on completely differently now. Not completely differently, but I see the underpinnings of punishment, right? Like, if all my opponent is doing is attacking every time I give them an opportunity to, and I'm scoring the last hits, I mean, look at the CS difference, right? Like, you weren't actually trying to CS, but, like, if this were the scenario, there's advantage to just focusing on CSing while dealing with whatever else is going on. So I don't know, I feel good. It was actually kind of calming.
That's awesome. I don't want to give any false pretense. If someone has a Doran's Blade and they have spells, then they're going to hit a lot harder than that.
Yeah, no,
right.
I'm...
But the idea was to give, let you see how many times I might hit you.
I was trying to shield all of the hits that I could. Like I was actually that.
It was really good.
Paying attention to that, because if I'm in a matchup where that sucks, that's all you can do. So you need to make sure you go in when you're going to get 1 or 2 last hits and then get out.
Perfect. How about apart from game stuff, just mood? Did you find yourself caring about every CS without ever being upset that you missed one?
Nope. I think there was only one cannon that I missed that I took note of, and it was funny because I forget why I missed it. That's how little it mattered to me in the moment, but I missed it and went, oh, right, yeah, that's funny. Just one of those, when you ride a bike, getting on it the wrong way will get you hurt, and you do it once every now and then, you're like, yeah, I unlearned that, but I just did it, so that's funny.
I am very happy that is the reaction that you had, and that is exactly what we were going for today. So call it a win.
Cool.
That is, and that's really when you get to those stressful situations, and it can be anything. It can be harass in lane. It can be real life. It can be other people talking about their lanes and it being a distraction. All of those things, put noise in the channel and can become stressful factors. They are all stress, whether or not they're positive or negative. They all are stress. And the ability to calm yourself, refocus, and stay at the task at hand and just make the next right move is the skill that will help you a ton. I want you to do a certain pattern when you play ranked from now on. Okay. When you're playing ranked, I want you to say, I'm gonna play ranked. I'm going to play best of 3. I want you to care about the result. Try to win. Do everything in your power to win that game. But regardless of results, 2-0, 0-2, or 2-1, 1-2, at that point, take a small break, take a breather, do a little exercise, grab a snack, step outside, whatever it is. Something to break it up to help bring your baseline back to where it belongs.
That's similar to the rule that I've started to follow, which is lose 2 and I'm
twice.
out.
Right. But losing twice, this is why I want to change it, because sometimes on a winning spree, you can lose track of that. And sometimes it's not really in your control if you lose 2 games, right? It can happen for different factors. Someone could quit, someone could be raging, or the other team could have smurfs, whatever it is. We don't necessarily want to quit just when those things are happening. Right. Because that kind of teaches us to quit when those things are happening.